I thought today, and I did consult the other learning leaders, that it's also worth mentioning the role that Maria Carvuni, Assistant Principal of Curriculum Development, because she's not only shown such a great belief in the project, but a belief in us as learning leaders. And I think that makes a huge difference when you have got someone from the principal class to bounce ideas off, but also really engage with what you're doing and be there as someone, as a mentor, to say, yes, that's fantastic. Well, perhaps, you should do it this way, but really, instill that confidence that, yes, great, take those risks, be innovative, do whatever you have to do to make this work. So I guess from our perspective, as well as having all the resources from the region, the other important aspect of the project is to have the resources and the support from within the school. Okay, challenges ahead. Well, we've already started planning for 2010. We've completed an action plan. And what we see as the main challenge, first of all, is to make sure that we do use the data across P to 12 that we're going to be collating next year. We're going to be using the online ARCOTS test for 3 to 9, but we're also looking at using other forms of data for P to 2 and VCE as well. And we're in the process of putting together a strategic plan to do that, to roll that out to whole school, and just to make sure that teachers are really engaging with the data and really sitting down and having student-centred, focused conversations about how do we improve the learning for our students. The other main objective is to continue the momentum. I think all learning leaders would agree that there are lots of staff who are very enthusiastic, on board with the project, and they're really willing to get their hands dirty and get into it. We want to continue that because in order, I guess, to make it sustainable and institutionalised, as David Hopkins would say, we really need to be continuing that momentum and continuing the support, the resourcing of the project. The other thing that is a challenge is to make the HRLTPs explicit. A lot of teachers, and this is perfectly fine because it's their starting point, are embedding the strategies into their teaching learning, which is fantastic. And next step, which John's been really focusing on again this year, is to make them explicit, to really scaffold that for the students, that learning, so that then they can become automatic and automatised for themselves. So basically we see those as our challenges for 2010. I'd like to introduce to you now the presenters. We have Rosemary and Christine, who will present a Getting Knowledge Ready and vocab focus for the primary students, and then Bruno and Etta, who will look at what he's doing with his Year 9 Science and Year 12 Biology students in terms of vocabulary strategies. Once again, these do have an ICT focus, and it is worth mentioning that we do stress to staff that ICT is the end point. When they are planning a strategy, a resource or program, literacy has to be the first and foremost consideration in what they're doing. So learning leaders will ask the question of the teacher, what strategy? Getting knowledge ready, vocab, what are you focusing on? And then we build from that. Then we look at resourcing it with an ICT tool. Thanks, guys. You can make a start.
Hello, I'm Christine and this is Rosemary, and between us we teach Prep to 2 at distance education. As Rona said, our students are not actually in the building. They're mostly travelling Australia in caravans or living overseas, or true distance students that can't get to a school or they're sick. But 75–80% of them are travelling in caravans around Australia. So our work is sent out in print form as well as on a disc. I just brought one Year 2 unit. This lasts for 2 weeks and it's quite specific. And we start off with the Getting Knowledge Ready. This particular unit of 2 weeks is about the beach. So it's, what do you know about the beach? What do you like about the beach? That sort of thing. And draw your ideas. So we'd start off with the Getting Knowledge Ready in print form. They also get a disc. At the end of 2 weeks, it's posted back to the teacher, and so the year begins, and we work very closely with the supervisor because basically the supervisor is the person that's there with the child. So because our students don't have a class of peers, it's really important that we give them a chance to collaborate with the literacy. So for that reason, we did a special project in the online classroom to help. So we have an online environment which Rosemary's just going to log into. We have a primary classroom area where every teacher has their own classroom. And this builds, using this classroom builds on the teaching that we've done through our workbooks, our material that we write, that comes back. So in our classrooms, every teacher has a welcome page, and they use that as the classroom wall. Like in a primary classroom, you would put a work display on the wall. The children would talk about it, share it. We put it up on the wall in our classroom here. We also put up a little bit about each student, the photos. Only they can see it. They have to log in, so it's quite a secure environment. So.
You're all my kids.
We also have a shared area. That's like our classroom display, and we change that as work comes back in. It might be a theme one time. It might just be pieces of work from the students. So we have a shared area as well.
Take a breath. It's going slow. Okay.
And also in our classrooms, each teacher facilitates a live chat session once or twice a week. And that's where quite a lot of teaching is done as well. The shared area is called Cool Connections. And within Cool Connections, we set up this project, this literacy project, about story writing. So it's designed to extend and also link back to the unit work by taking story writing one step further. In the regular classroom, students would work collaboratively. They would see each other's work. They would build on their skills. They talk about the vocabulary and so on and so forth. We have to create that sense of being in the class, and we do this by using the technology. It also caters for students who are on a different timeline because we've got them all over the world. I've got a student in Tajikistan and East Timor, India, wherever. They're all over the world. So they can come in when we're asleep at night and do their part. We also use the email a lot with the supervisor, and we give a lot of feedback through email as well. With the Getting Knowledge Ready, this occurs firstly, as I've said, within the unit work and with the supervisor support, and then through our feedback, and then we lead them into the chat room for collaborative story writing, where the teacher is there and it's live. That's for those who can join in, and then we started this project which is not live, but we can show it to you today. So, Rosemary.
So basically, the project, after we do the Getting Knowledge Ready with the students in the course materials, we can identify students that are able to go into this project, either for extension or remedial, depending on where they're at, and sort of guide them through it, and with their supervisor, of course. So we tell them where to go, and the first thing that they do is to read the story Arthur by Amanda Graham, and we have it online, so they go in and log into Era Books and read the story, and then they talk about the story with their supervisor,